Story 1. Do you ever feel like life is just a constant cycle of overthinking, fake smiles, and pretending you are okay? Or is it just me? Story 2. I'll start. Firstly, things with my girlfriend might get difficult because she wants to get married, and my parents would never approve. I love her a lot, so I either disappoint her or my parents. I am nowhere close to thinking about marriage, and I see everyone around me moving on. I have been doing an okay job at work, even though I want to excel. I want to relocate to my company's headquarters, but I am afraid my average performance might not get me the approval to do so. My mind keeps oscillating between thoughts, and I want to be free of troubling thoughts. Story 3. Living with the worst roommate I have ever had. I do not have the money to move out, but I am working on that right now. Money is the only problem I have. Basically, my whole life, the only problem is no money. Story 4. Not enough money to get ahead or to break even. Then you need a new car but have no money for one. Groceries are also very expensive. No raise in a year because the company cannot afford it. Still thankful to have a job. Those are just a few challenges. Story 5. Not enough hours in a day. Constantly second-guessing myself and feeling inadequate. Borderline depression and anxiety. Bottled rage that needs to be reined in on an hourly basis. But those are just the problems. Luckily, the solutions I have implemented are effective, mostly. Story 6. I had an apartment interview today and felt like I was on trial. When I walked in, the manager already had my background check pulled up and asked me questions no one had ever asked before. Story 7. I went through a year where I lost the love of my life and best friend to suicide, lost my daughter, lost my job, and crashed my car. I recovered many things and decided to date. I met the most evil woman ever with narcissistic personality disorder. Her picture should be under the disorder. This year needs to end, but I am going to date again because why not? Story 8. I have gone through difficult experiences at a very young age, and I have attachment issues, so I latch onto everyone, which never turns out well. This year, I found a community of people like me. I have bonded with them, and I feel seen and loved, which is not something I experience every day, mostly because I feel like I don't deserve it. But these people make me feel like I do deserve to be loved. However, I have gone through certain things, as mentioned before, and my friends thankfully cannot relate. So, of course, they don't know what to say when certain topics come up, and I understand that they simply cannot fully understand. But it's tough when you realize you have no one to bond with on those levels, because then you have no one to talk to about those things. I am scared to talk to them about those things because what if they leave me too? They wouldn't even understand any of it, and what if I end up latching onto them too severely, and they no longer want anything to do with me and I get kicked out of my friend group? I am sorry this is so long to whoever reads this, but this is much quicker than explaining what I have experienced. Story 9. I have been desperately trying to get into law school and was diagnosed with a brain tumor 3 months ago, just weeks before my 29th birthday. Thankfully, it is non-cancerous and does not require surgery right now. This situation has made me realize that life is about making the best of the circumstances we are given. I experience a constant mix of emotions, wondering why me, versus feeling I am invincible and nothing will stop me. It is a strange feeling. I am scared. I am American. I am drowning in medical debt and will be for the rest of my life. Story 10. No, we do not. In fact, all of us live perfect lives. Perfect families, substantial wealth, good jobs, and loving spouses with wonderful children. We have no mental health issues, and our friends are extraordinary. Even our physical health is excellent. We all have well-defined physiques, can bench press 205 pounds, and squat 315 pounds. And as for religion, we attend church every Sunday, and God is happier than ever with us. The only problem is you, brother. Story 11. I quit calling them problems a long time ago. They are now called challenges. And all of them go through the same procedure. Evaluate, prioritize, delegate. Most of the time, tasks fall into the category. That is a problem for later. Story 12. I have one problem in life. There are literal morons running Russia, China, Israel, and the United States. Story 13. I am gay, transgender, and surrounded by 600 homophobic individuals every day. The person I am closest to, which is a very low bar, has described to me how he would murder someone who was gay or transgender. Story 14. Existential dread, financial stress, chronic procrastination, and an unhealthy attachment to memes. Just the basics. Story 15. No. Thank you for sharing. Your bravery shows in your willingness to show your vulnerability, which means you are far ahead of most people. Just pay it forward. I have no doubt your willingness to grow will inspire others who come down this path just like you. Be that force for change for them. Inspire those around you. You have inspired me by your bravery. You are doing well. Your friend. Story 16. I am in my 50s and cannot face working in my industry anymore. I hate it with all my heart. However, I cannot figure out how to make money in any other way. Story 17. Mostly financial struggles, honestly. My husband is struggling to find work right now, so we are relying on my income. That is hard with 2 children. Story 18. My problem is not having any money, not being able to find a stable job, having debt, and not being able to go back to school because of debt. I live under my sister's roof and feel like a burden because she is short-tempered and we are not that close. I do not even have money for food because I suddenly do not qualify for food assistance anymore. I might as well be homeless on the streets at this point. I do not know what to do anymore. I was born into this life without my permission. Story 19. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Being very overweight, I am working on it, but diet and exercise are exhausting my energy, and I have 60-hour work weeks, a wife, and a child, scraping by financially. If something unexpected happens, my entire life is in jeopardy. I might have to start taking care of my autistic brother because my parents are reaching retirement age. He does not receive disability benefits because he has a job but cannot drive or manage his finances. I cannot bear to place him in a group home or assisted care, knowing the potential for abuse. I was mistreated by the Department of Veterans Affairs regarding a life-altering injury I sustained during service. I am declared not eligible for disability compensation, even though I have limited use of most of my right shoulder area. I am trying and scraping by. I am not one to give up, but I just need a break. Story 20. I started studying last year and met 2 women whom I had been friends with a few weeks ago. They always portrayed me as a stupid person who could not do anything. Both of them provoked me excessively, even though they knew my limits. One of them always hit me on the back of the head when she did not like something. After I told her that I had been hit as a child and that I really could not stand it, she continued less often, but she continued to do it. They always wanted to have the upper hand in discussions and occasionally twisted my words to seem right. When I let it be known that I was not feeling well, the only response was, "You have to talk. We cannot look into your head." It is hard for me to talk about it because I always think that maybe it is my fault or that I am just overreacting. Now I take extra tablets to somehow sit near them because our course is not very big. I am always nice and friendly, rarely have a problem with anyone, and hardly let my stress show. Since what happened with the 2 women, I could insult anyone in the worst possible way and have shown physical reactions to stress, including sleep problems, muscle twitches, irritability, and shortness of breath. Luckily, I have a good connection with the course staff so I can talk to someone, but I do not know how to tell anyone what they did to me. In the end, I even ask myself whether I am simply overreacting or whether it is my own fault. Story 21. Honestly, it's just separating from a toxic family without having them use control tactics to keep me physically in a place where I do not belong. The only reason I haven't done anything is because I do not want to have the police arrest me again. It feels frustrating to have everything except a way to travel far away from these people without worrying if they or anyone else will try to bring me back. Story 22. I was in a car accident a few hours ago. I got my driver's license 1 month ago. I will probably have to pay $2,000 to $4,000. I feel overwhelmed. Story 23. I might be one of the few people who never has problems in life, or I don't see things as a big deal. I just deal with it, find a solution, and move on. Call me naive, but I think people's problems are generally self-inflicted and usually caused by many bad decisions leading up to a major problem. I try to live my life very calculated. I thought that was normal, But as I get older and hear more stories about how people end up in situations, 90% are self-inflicted. That's just my anecdotal 2 cents. Story 24. No close friends or family and a long history of horrible relationships that ended badly. I know I am part of the problem but have not been able to figure out how to fix it. It is awful wanting closeness so badly that it pushes people away, and the cycle repeats. Story 25. 1. I am only 16, yet I wake up every morning with back pain. My controlling father wants me to appreciate his selfish, annoying, and unpleasant favorite child, even though that person is a 19-year-old who does not want to study or get a job. Story 26. I have zero trust in women my age. Every single woman I've asked out has turned me down completely after 1 or 2 dates that I paid for, with no explanation, whether it was for food, movies, or other activities. I don't think I'm terrible looking. I like to cook at home and work out. I'm in college and have good prospects in my field. But somehow, every person I've met and every girl I'm at least friends with just complain about how terrible their boyfriends treated them. Meanwhile, I'm doing my best to be open and receptive, and I can't even get a call back. I'm honestly done with this for a while. The last one cheated on her boyfriend with me, even though she told me they broke up and she liked me. Then he beat her. She got back with him, and proceeded to call me the worst mistake she's made in her life. Story 27. Just check my comments, and you will understand. Then add much more about life on top of that. Feeling like Sisyphus in an invisibility cloak over here. Story 28. I've challenged myself to clear 2 exams this year. One is in September, and the other is at the end of November. Honestly, the more I study, the further the summit seems. I guess I am worried to some extent. It's a constant struggle for me, as I don't think of myself as someone with a passion for something. I don't want it to sound the wrong way, but I just have goals. I think of myself as someone who can do anything, but this same thought process is a burden too. I haven't doubted myself, but somehow I find solace in my hopeful thoughts of, it'll work out. I always believe that if I want it, no road will tire me out, but self-scrutinizing does get in the way. Some days I win, most of the time I lose. Thanks, I needed a place to spill out a little. By December, I'll come back with some good news. Story 29. I have absolutely no idea what to do for college, and I already took a gap year. All I want to do is make music, but I am sure that will go nowhere. I am also very scared of death. I have never been religious, so that might be part of it. Story 30. Stereotype problem. I have autism, which is not a dangerous psychopathic mental disorder. Sadly, most people in my area think it is. If they don't see me as a dangerous person with a mental disorder, they see me as someone with an extreme mental disability. In childhood, I was bullied a lot for that. In adulthood, I struggled to find a good job because of it. Thank God I am finally able to find a job. Not a good job, not my dream job either, but at least I am financially able to feed my cat. Story 31. It's weird. I'm the happiest I've been in forever. Dumb decisions led to some credit card debt. That kind of sucks the fun out of life at times, but we make do. I have a house, a great wife, and actually decent kids who couldn't care less about iPads and Nintendos. Living in the suburbs like a regular person. And yet the world around me feels like it is crumbling to some degree. I feel like the best I can do is keep doing what I'm doing until some greater force disrupts that. And that's what keeps me up at night. Not the if, but the when. Story 32. Disabled and living in poverty, but at least I have shelter to protect me from the weather and enough food to eat. Story 33. I made a big financial mistake that cost me one of my closest friends. Then our mutual close friends followed suit. Any kind of apology sounds like me making excuses, which it isn't, but I can see why it sounds that way. On top of my depression, which had been out of control for about a year, that made it much worse. I had to convince my therapist not to send me to the hospital because I was definitely a danger to myself at the time. Still struggling with complicated mental health issues, work is slowly driving me to drink. I hit 10 years at my organization earlier this month, and I think if nothing gets better, this position might be what makes me quit. Insurance won't cover a medication I was on, So I've been gaining weight quickly, which is not helping my mental health. I have been sick in different ways about 10 times in 5 months. My body is tired. My brain is tired. I will say I am in a slightly better mental place than I was a couple of months ago. But the passive suicidal thoughts I still have are kind of comforting, which I recognize isn't a good thing. Still, it helps me get through things to think of having an out, even if I don't want to use it. I'm not convinced I know what happiness actually feels like without some form of anxiety underneath, so I will take cold comfort as an acceptable substitute. Story 34. I have been sick for nearly half a decade. Specialists say, "We know what you have but cannot cure you. Try this medication. It will work this time." It does not, like every other medication. I am basically a lab rat for different specialists now. People's only way of trying to be helpful or encouraging is by saying, "At least it is not cancer." Sometimes, that makes me wish it was cancer, so I could have a way to get over it and start my life instead of this awkward limbo. It does not help that I had to drop out of school because of the severity, and I am still stuck while my friends are finishing university and traveling. Story 35. Hey brother, I get the overall vibe of your post. I won't bother trying to answer it. I'll skip to the part about how we all feel like you do, and yet the world is not crumbling down today. Keep your head up and know that what makes this world bearable is the fact that we are all going through the same challenges in one form or another. We all dislike our situation, so all I can offer you is this. If you take a deep breath, you will find so much beauty in the world if you just take a moment to look. I am not saying the world is ugly. All I am saying is the view depends on your perspective. Choose wisely. Good luck. Story 36. I have a story for you. When I was 19, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. My thyroid was severely affected. I dropped out of college for a year and a half to get it somewhat functional, and then I went back. I spent the next 8 years battling it. Every time I went into remission, something very stressful would happen in my life, and my thyroid would act up again, causing unpleasant side effects. After my father died, things got worse. I was sleeping 18 hours a day. I would fall asleep at my desk at work and had to quit. I was basically non-functional. Thyroid issues mimic depression, and I knew what it felt like. I went to my doctor, who said my thyroid-stimulating hormone, TSH, was normal and that it was not my thyroid, suggesting I spend a month at a mental hospital. So I did. But then I realized it was not in my head. It was my thyroid. I went to a surgeon and they removed it. Problem solved. Feeling like I had my life back, I decided to join a gym, join clubs, and start dating. Then I got the Mirena intrauterine device, IUD. You know how there's a warning that it can cause a stroke? It didn't cause a stroke. It caused a cerebrospinal fluid vein to collapse. The cerebrospinal fluid backed up and crushed my brain and spinal cord. I was catatonic for 2 years before finally getting a stent to fix it. Now, I have some brain damage and the nerves in my head are damaged. I get a migraine if I even look at a light the wrong way, if I bend over, if it's too loud, if my heart rate gets too high, or if I eat the wrong food. Now I can't even work and live with my mother. She has problems, not me. I have to live as a hermit to keep the pain at bay, and Social Security keeps telling me I can work anyway. Story 37. Yes, and all of them stem from money. I hate money. It has done nothing but cause me headaches for my entire life. Of course, I understand it is the best system we currently have, but that does not mean I have to like it. Every time I just want to enjoy life or something, which does not happen often, money gets in the way. Not to mention how in my country prices of absolutely everything have shot up tremendously in recent years while income has somehow stayed the same or in some cases gone down. Inflation is frustrating. At least healthcare is free. Otherwise, I would be bankrupt by now thanks to my heart condition. Story 38. My current relationship with my abusive boyfriend is difficult. He cheats, is violent, and lies repeatedly. I haven't left because I'm scared he will steal my personal information. Story 39. I feel like I am stuck in this situation. I have always given way to other people, compromising my own well-being. I want to help in everything, but how can I help if I do not have the means? Story 40. Yes, my dad is abusive. He forced my mom to go through in vitro fertilization 3 times because he wanted a son, and I am an 18-year-old female. He threatens his sister-in-law to marry him because his brother is dead. My mom is depressed. This man is pure evil. I wish to see his downfall with my own eyes. Story 41. I keep asking the dog I am babysitting to come up on the couch with me, which he does all the time with his father, but he does not want to. Story 42. I cannot function properly, and every day, I can feel my mental health deteriorating. I do not want to lose my sanity. Story 43. Actual diagnosed attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Not the TikTok. I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I'm silly nonsense. I'm messy, forget things all the time, struggle socially, I'm forgetful, and I'm under constant stress and anxiety because I'm scared I might get fired for not performing well enough. People don't take attention deficit hyperactivity disorder seriously anymore due to social media romanticizing it. You are not cool or quirky when you diagnose yourself with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder by doing some online tests. I needed years of therapy to be able to manage it a little bit, and I still struggle with myself every single day. Story 44. I am addicted to dextromethorphan. It is difficult, but I am working on myself. Do not use drugs, children. Just go outside and play. Seriously. Story 45. My biggest problem is my life circumstances. I need to change, but I find it difficult to do. I also should probably quit drinking. Story 46. Financially, I am full of debts and supporting the household practically alone. I live with my mother and have a daughter. To make matters worse, my mother is addicted to online casino games. The situation is extremely difficult. Story 47. I am almost 77 years old. I have health issues, including pain. I do not have adequate health insurance. I am on a fixed income. I need new glasses but have no money. I need a haircut but have no money. I eat no meat, just cottage cheese, peanut butter, tuna, pasta, and applesauce. My grocery bills are high, but I do not get enough food. Story 48. Trauma, loneliness, rejection, mistreatment, abandonment, narcissistic relationships, poor mental health. More problems than solutions, I am afraid. Story 49. Just dealing with my family in a war zone while trying to stay out because of the forced military draft that no one survives past a month. I am trying to stay in the United States with the former President Donald Trump now putting my country on the ban list. Once I graduate, I will need to find somewhere else to go. I am also doing my best to help my family with their house as the 7.2 magnitude earthquake practically demolished it. And there was a recent break-in by 5 robbers, 2 of whom escaped unharmed. Story 50. I dislike large gatherings and chaos. I believe I am overly sensitive. If someone yells at me, I tend to dwell on it and cry easily. Story 51. I'll try to make this quick. I built up a $2.5 million balance in cash, assets, stocks, and property equity over my 14-year marriage and relationship with my ex-wife. I worked very hard to build that up over time. In short, I was working full-time throughout, and for the last 5 years of our marriage, she was on disability. She was in a bank robbery where she worked and claimed mental health issues. This is important. Our marriage had become horribly awful and was no longer something I could be in, so I filed for divorce. Her exact words were, "Fine, but I'll be taking you for everything you've got." And she did. 3 years of lawyers later, primarily due to her disability claim and the fact that her income was counted as 0 compared to my salary, she ended up with literally everything. 2 of the 3 houses, the stocks, the cash, my boat, and over $425,000 in alimony. The alimony was to be paid over many years at half my paycheck. I couldn't afford to live, so I sold my house to pay her a lump sum to end this and cut all ties with her. I am now literally $75,000 in debt with no assets because I chose to live a happy life and no longer be miserable. A 50-50 split is a lie. Story 52. All problems are created in the mind as are solutions. If you have no problems, you need no solutions. Story 53. I've learned to dig deep into isolation and nothingness and be content that way. Then I turned to God and asked for help. He cleaned me up, humbled my spirit, and showed me the race does not belong to me. It is his race, and he will deal with it. We need nothing but the basics for survival, and if you are sober and clear-minded, it will always be there for you to have or find a way to obtain. Story 54. Yes. My teeth are falling out because of cancer treatments, and it is very difficult. I am not allowed to go to the dentist because I have no immune system and my blood does not clot. Otherwise, I am doing well. Story 55. Relationship issues. My partner of 4 years, who I live with, has recently dropped a bombshell on me that has changed the way I view them and our relationship. I am struggling to figure out what to do next. I am also worried about my mother, who is currently deep in alcoholism, and coming to terms with the fact that there is nothing I can do about it. Story 56. My roommate, whom I allowed to sleep on my couch for free, took a job before they had a car. I helped them get the job because they needed assistance getting to work. Now they believe that I do not care about them because I want some of my own space back. They self-harm when I tell them how I genuinely feel, and they are always easily offended. It is difficult. Story 57. Always trying to be strong when I feel like I am crumbling away. 2025 has got to be the worst year for me anyway. Story 58. I've never really felt like I belonged anywhere. Nothing fits, no matter how hard I try, so I just stay in my room. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.